Good morning, my name is Christel from Frans, the Klerk Independent Technical Analyst. The first one on our list to discuss today is Absa. We can see that the MACD has already turned green. In other words, the bullish trend towards the share has been confirmed. Keep in mind these are weekly graphs and the red line represents the 40-week moving average. Now we can see one, the bullish trend has been confirmed on the MACD, and two, the momentum to the top is clearly in place. Now the big next resistance that is waiting for Absa is at the 40-week moving average, 184.32 as it stands at the moment. If we look back, we can see here in middle April, the share struggled to change and keep that 40-week moving average a resistance, and that was seen as a technical negative goodbye kiss. So 184.32 is the next big test for Absa. If it loses momentum before that and starts to retrace, those who are in profit should consider taking some. You can use the lows of the preceding candles or the current candle as possible support levels or protection levels to ride the momentum to the top, and they are 174 rand and 6 cents, 167 rand 74, and 167 rand. If you don't want to draw in manual lines, you can draw in Fibonacci levels. And the next level after the 40-week moving average is waiting at 187 rand 86. And then obviously that recent record high in the week of the 21st of November 2022 was waiting at 211 rand. So obviously these support levels at the bottom can also be used: 173.75, 169.39, and 165 rand and 3 cents, which is waiting at the 38.2% level. But at the moment, there's no sign of weakness on the weekly graph. The momentum to the top is clearly in place, and the big test will be at that 40-week, as I've said. Nedbank. At the moment, we can see that Nedbank is losing momentum. The first sign of weakness was in the week of the 19th of June, and that was when that shooting star candle appeared at the top of the rally with a long tail and a small real body at the moment. And ever since then, the share has stopped making new recent highs, and every time the weekly candle is finished, the high is a little bit lower than the preceding week. You can see that lower, 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 and that is seen as negative. And very important, if we go back here again in April, the share could not go back to these levels, and I'll give you those exact levels. These levels of around 239, the share just could not reach those levels again, and that was seen as negative. Now, if we zoom out a little bit, we can see that this resistance is a little bit lower than the previous resistance here in March 2022. And now again, this resistance it was found was also a little bit lower than this one. And that tells us loss of momentum. And every time the traders or investors are taking profit a little bit sooner. And that is seen as negative. Now, very important, you know by now, the 40-week moving average is the big test, right? And that is waiting at 218 rand 47, represented by that red line. As soon as that level changes into a resistance, the long-term sentiment towards Nedbank on a weekly graph for long-term investors will change to negative. Now, strong support is waiting there at around 199 rand 46. That is the next strong support that needs to remain in place in order to hope that the share can possibly bounce again. If we look at our MACD, we can see also loss of momentum. My bars are losing steam. However, the bullish trend is still in place on my MACD, right? Only when that signal line changes into a resistance, in other words, the bar starts to appear red, that's when the bearish trend towards Nedbank will be confirmed. So at the moment, still a bullish trend, but my candles are hinting loss of momentum and possible the consideration of taking profit. Only above that high of the shooting star candle, and that is waiting at 233 rand 52. Only above that level can we assume then that the momentum to the top can continue. but below the 40-week 218.47, we possibly can see profit taking escalate to the bottom. Supergroup. Also one of the favorites in our market, we can see at the moment the MACD is doing nothing, right? It's fighting. However, it is a tiny and a small bullish trend. I mean, though the bar is very thin and small, you can barely see it. There you can see it a little bit better. So however, the bullish trend on the MACD has been confirmed. But look there, since the week of the 5th of June, the share has basically just consolidated sideways. So only when, that's the one thing I want to mention. And the other thing is that we are sitting here with a possible inverse cup and handle formation, right? And the negativity or the warning around that formation will only be confirmed once that neckline changes into a resistance. And that is waiting at 28 Rand 38. Below that level, we can see full profit taking. What is the full target of this inverse cup and handle? It's the full length of the cup projected downwards from the handle where the formation will be confirmed, can take us back to 20 Rand 82. However, the warning of this inverse cup and handle will be wiped off the table when the top of the handle, which is waiting at 33 Rand 64. As soon as the share price starts to trade about 33.64 again, we can say, listen, the warning of the inverse cup and handle will be wiped off the table, and we can assume then that the momentum to the top can continue. Now, if I draw in a horizontal line here, we can see that also very much in the case of the banks that we've discussed, the share could not reach that high at 37 Rand 25, right? It did reach 37.25 in the week of the 27th of September 2021. It did exactly 37.25 in the week of the 17th of January 2022. However, it could not quite reach that level in 14th of Feb 2022 on Valentine's Day. And I mean, we saw profit taking since then. Now, very important, look there. In the week of the 27th of February, again, the share could not go back to that 37.25 level. And that was the hint that there was possibly profit taking that's going to escalate. And boy, we did see that. My 40-week moving average is waiting at 30 Rand, a critical level that needs to remain a support in order to sustain the long-term sentiment towards Supergroup to positive. South 32. Commodities has been quite in the spotlight lately with the Rand and the strength of the Rand, right? So let's have a look at South 32. At the moment on my MACD, still a bearish trend. Although it looks like my blue line, that a 9-day moving average, exponential moving average, seems like it wants to turn around. However, the signal line has not changed into a support yet. Only when that zero line change into a support and the bars start to appear green can we say that the bullish trend towards the share has been confirmed on the MACD. Now the share is caught within a falling wedge formation, and we call it a falling wedge because the mouth of the wedge is smaller than the tail. That's why it's called a wedge and not a channel, right? But it's an optimistic, it's a positive formation that says, should that upper band of the wedge change into a support, in other words, the share starts to trade above it, waiting at 49 Rand and 2 cents. Above it, the optimism around that wedge will be confirmed, and we possibly can see higher levels. Only when, and this line needs to touch it, right? 2 touching points on the shadow, 1 on the bottom of a real body, and 1 on the touching point of a lower shadow. I only count the touching points of the shadow's point at the bottom or at the top and the real body, right? If it pierces a shadow or real body, I do not count it as a touching point. 2 touching points on a trend line is referred to as a temporarily trend line, and more than 2 is a permanent trend line. In other words, a strong trend line that you can use for decision-making purposes. Great. What is the possible target for a wedge? We normally take the midpoint of the wedge. The textbooks say you must take the tail. That's quite greedy. You can take both. And you project it upwards from the upper band, right? Can take South 32 back to 56 Rand 18. Should the momentum to the top continue. And very important, should the buyers be able to change that 40-week moving average waiting at 50 Rand 46 into a support. Below the low of last week's candle, 44 Rand 96, the tears will flow again, and we can assume that the momentum to the bottom can escalate. Do not ignore a tweezer top. Look at that beautiful tweezer top formation that warned investors to start taking profit, that the momentum to the top is drying up. Don't forget to send through your questions via Twitter or email to admin@fransdeklerk.com for next week's Talking Technical. Have a fantastic week. Take care.